From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those Grid Life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does the
have,
Sentinel system do?
we could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
Dominating with Dawson.
Ben Dawson, I have a listener question.
Is that right? A question from one of our beloved listeners?
It is.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Nope. He wrote to me today and he said, what are the benefits and risk of being extra aggressive on any starts where the field gets bunched up?
God, that's a great question. You know, that's a racer who's got track position on their mind.
I know.
Yeah.
It was you.
Oh, it was me who said that. I did say that earlier today. Yeah. So I'm not sure what put it on my mind, but I was thinking about, you know, times of transition in life are tough, and the beginning of a race is a time of transition. And
restarts.
The start of a race, or if you're racing with a series where the restart bunches the field up again, you kind of get another crack at everybody being all together.
Mhm.
I think that those are some golden times in a competition, and times where you can make an outsized gain for yourself in some cases.
I believe through the history of the Dominating with Dawson, that has been a common theme about your love for being able to get a few spots anytime at a start, restart, yellow flag, going to green flag. Information is power.
It's true. Timing and information are power. I think back to my days of racing karts, I never had the biggest budget of anybody in the field, and I was usually, you know, if there was a restart, the people would all line up and just kind of wait for the person in front of them to go. I was like, I'm going to duck half a car out so I can see the actual traffic light that they used to go green on the back end. And I would always just punch out like John Force, and everybody else would kind of get going when they got going. I'm like, nah, I can't afford to not make these couple of spots. I didn't have the clutch to hit the hardest, so I wasn't going to be able to just kind of bam, hit it and go. I needed to really be on it on time because I didn't have a clutch to hit hard. I never had this, you know, the best motor in the field either. I never had the best tires. So my one advantage where I could kind of snag a couple spots and hold on to them in a race a lot of times was whatever I could get on a start or a restart. So it became important to me really when I realized how much track position you can kind of artificially scoop up while other people are maybe snoozing on a restart situation, or just discombobulated, or relearning how fast they can go in this corner or that corner, or just being too extra careful. Those are times where an enterprising racer can make up some time, probably pass some cars that are out there, in a faster class even. So you kind of pogo yourself up a little further in the field than maybe your equipment merits. You know what I mean?
Is this a complementary technique to your massaging and fondling of the rear tire when you were go-karting, or is this separate?
They were very closely related enterprises. But this is but I say all this to say I'm coming on strong in favor of blast everybody's ass out as much as you can on a start or a restart when the field's all grouped back together, because you can put yourself further up the order than you might just naturally be able to run up to during the course of the race. You might even lose some of the places you got up to, but you might float to a little bit better spot eventually as the race goes on and other drivers get going. So it sounds like a perfect plan, right? There's nothing that can go wrong at the start of a race trying to just
I believe
shoot right
our
there.
listener put there was risk of doing this.
Did I mention risk?
Yeah, well, our listener who looks like you did. Yeah.
Yeah, the same listener who's wearing the underwear I'm wearing right now. Yeah. Yeah. So I have in my life had a lot of times, even in this most recent race where I was able to run out to the class lead and pass a couple of faster cars. It was a restart. We were all still pretty bunched up. It was a restart like 10 minutes into the competition. So nobody was all gapped out that much. It was still a chance to have the cars all relatively close, because it was a restart, but they hit us all with that code 35 thing. You know what I'm talking about? Where everybody has to just immediately start going 35 with flagger and all that stuff. So we're all still relatively close to where we were in the start. And I saw. So I'm watching the flagger system, because they had said, hey, when the flagger system starts flashing, that's you're within like 5 to 8 seconds of the conditions going back to green. So I saw it start flashing. I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm paying attention. And as soon as the light went off or went green or whatever, told me that the caution was over, I nailed it. And I think I passed 2 cars in the S's. And then I passed the car I needed to pass for the class lead in Oak Tree of the restart lap for my class. And then I just take off. And I'm gapping second place in class. I'm out there passing more and more cars faster in the faster class than me. So I'm out there doing exactly what you want to do to capitalize on a start, is take the lead of your class and keep digging it higher and higher in the field or whatever you can, because whatever kind of artificial track position you might be able to build for yourself, you can then hand that off to your team, and hopefully you just hold it and capitalize on it until the end of the competition of that. Or sometimes you might go and have an amazing start, and then you watch it dwindle and fritter away as things happen throughout the day, which is that's also endurance racing. But you give yourself your best shot by getting on up there and getting busy on a start and kind of throwing yourself as far up as you can. I'm just saying, things that help that work are being very confident, being comfortable in close quarters with other cars, being good at evasive maneuvers when things aren't working out, and just kind of having your head on a swivel and not being so committed to anything that you're trying to do that you can't go, whoop, this can wait. But when you see advantages, or you see people going artificially too slow in a start, just because it happens, right? You know what I'm talking about, Bill?
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody
I had a guy miss a shift in a restart. I mean, it was actually a start, and we were 3 wide for this particular event, and the guy in front of me missed his shift, and we were in the middle, and that was I was that was one of those you just take it, because nothing good can happen if you decide to do anything about it.
That's right. You got cars on either side of you, and somebody loses pace in front of you. You just gotta wait with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to say, if you're somebody who's comfortable in close quarters, and you know what you can get away with the amount of grip in this corner, the amount of grip in this corner, like when I passed that car in Oak Tree, the 2 cars that were going artificially too slow, like they were just kind of feeling their way out. People on the first lap are trying. A lot of times they're feeling their pace out. They're doing whatever they're doing. I'm not doing that. I'm racing. It's a race now. So a lot of times you just catch.
A great man said it's a race, not a wait.
A great man has said that many times before, but like it's one of the things that's a true to life in my lived experience phenomenon on race stars. People just kind of pussyfoot around a little bit. I think maybe it's just an attitude of, hey, we're all getting going here. Not to me. We're going now. Like I'm not working up to it. It's a go. So anyway, I say all that to say, I think race starts and restarts where you're bunched up are important. Now it's time to talk about why it can be scary to be this guy who tries to go plowing through there, why it may not be for everybody. Because not everybody out there is, practiced at being close quarters. Not everybody started in oval track racing like I did, where everything is a contact sport. But the more seat time you have, the more race starts you get under your belt, the more this will probably make sense. But the thing to also worry about is, the most chaotic time of any race is the start or restarts, right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you got to think that if the person who's driving isn't paying attention to the restart, the odds on them paying attention to their mirrors as you go zipping by
right.
are lower.
Right. And so the ways I think about trying to mitigate this is, if you're going to be doing this, you want to capitalize on trying to pull the most of your passes out of the corners.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where somebody's already where they're going to be. It's not like somebody
Right.
needs to react to you or get out of your way or see you coming. You're going to put pass offline coming out of the corner especially if people are not up to this pace they would normally carry, which happens so often on a start. Yeah. So you might be able to pull passes that you wouldn't be able to pull once they've got heat in their tires, or once they all feel comfortable, or once their macchiato is kicked in, or I don't know what people are doing on a race start, but a lot of times it ain't starting a race. And so I just wanted to point that out as a time to be aware of and time to think of, but also, and that's when that's the one side of the restart and race start coin are the people who are going too slow and not really getting busy quick enough. And the other I think a smaller side of the same coin is, there are people out there who are just like, might be thinking the same thing you are, but might not be good enough to pull it off, or might just be like, let's go. I just do this all the time. But, there's people who are going to come piling through turn one of a race and, clean out the top 5 or 10. So, I have had that happen too. You have to be watching for that kind of thing as it develops and be ready to bail on anything too. So you take advantage where you can, but also understand that this is when people forget what the hell they're doing the most frequently. You know what I mean? Like, either they forget to go, they don't realize how fast they're going, or they get going too fast, or they overestimate what their car will do right at the start. You know what I mean? There's a fine line between throwing it down full speed in turn one and expecting your tires to grip, and just kind of rolling with everybody who are already going too slow and still not trying to get the full pace out of the car, but you're still going faster than the goobers next to you who didn't notice you know what I mean? Like, didn't notice the flag, or still just kind of pussyfooting around. So there's a line between being that guy who goes out and trying to slam the first turn as if the car is fully warmed up, and then goes bowling through everybody, or locks his brakes up because they didn't get heat in their tires on the warm up or something like that. So the person goes piling through the first few cars. So just you have to watch out extra on starts, because people are in such close quarters. It's not the same as just kind of rolling up on this car and clicking off a pass, rolling up on this car. It's multitudes at a start, and you got to be ready for that. You got to be. I think you have to assume everybody's out to get you, but as long as you see them not getting you at that moment, go for it.
Yeah, I think the prevalence of this is a little bit lower in the sprint racing area, because they tend to be on it. They still mess it up, but
it's true. It's true then too. I mean, the situation is true. I mean, your race is going to spread out, and you're going to have a tougher time getting up to the next guy, So that is your time to capitalize. But everybody in sprint racing, I think they are all more keenly aware of that than endurance racers, because those guys know they have 17 minutes to get whatever they're going to get done.
Yep, that's all they got. But when it's a change from a full course yellow or a double yellow in an endurance race, especially, I see it a lot. I mean, a lot, where they're just I don't know what they're waiting for. It's like the flags went in. It's time to play. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Usually, I'm not even having those thoughts. I'm like, that guy's behind me. Good, let's go, go.
It's boogity boogity boogity. I mean, we got to go. We got stuff to do.
That's right. And I'll say this: if you're not concerned with being fast or winning the race, be one of those people who kind of just meanders around the start. I'll pass you. It's fine. You don't. If you're not interested in doing well, I will go right by you, and you can just kind of end up where you end up. But I think focusing on starts and getting good at them, and not being disoriented when they happen, and just being a hard charger right out the gate is an important part of racing. It seems like a less essential factor in endurance racing, but then again, I mean, yeah, in endurance racing, you're piling up. You're always trying to shave off time anywhere you can. It's all cumulative. So.
Yeah, I think if you do choose to do this, and I think we all agree that it's a good idea, you have to refine and pay attention to your car body language keys, because you can tell when somebody has no idea that you're behind
Oh
them.
yes, totally. Yeah, you're like, yeah, oh crap, this guy didn't see me. Even if I don't need them to demonstrate it to me, even if I feel that, I'm like, I'm bailing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you can tell from where this guy's headed. You can tell from the way he started his turn in or whatever. You're like, this guy's not accounting for me. You
he
know,
does
that's
not.
okay.
He is not aware of the situation. So
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay. But the important thing is that you realize it before it becomes a problem for you, and then and then him and his lawyer or whatever.
yeah. Well, it's their fault, but it's still your fault, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you go in there and you still make it an issue, even though you're kind of iffy on whether that person saw you, it's your problem.
yeah.
It's your problem and their problem. You've made several problems, but yeah, I mean, you want to be trying some kind of daring, out of the pocket stuff to chug through traffic, And so, I mean, could you suggest like an HPDE exercise that might help us get better at knowing where we can pull a pass and what's going to stick and what won't?
Well, I mean, if we're going to try to do this in the racing environment, you're going to have to get used to driving offline, close
Oh yeah.
proximity.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, it's essentially a race start, whether it's going to be a rolling start, it's not going to be a standing still start. But I mean, there's 3 different drills that we do at NASA Great Lakes that would affect this.
Yeah.
And
The one you mentioned up top was the big dog I was thinking about. Drill yourself offline, even if you're at a DE all by yourself. Try to make that turn that you usually go from far outside left to the apex at the far inside right. You're tracking out all the way.
mhm,
Try doing it. Try all the way from tracking out. Turning in at your normal spot, but then hug the inside on the way out instead of letting your car track all the way out. Do the opposite. Come in to the turn from the inside, then let the car track out like normal. See where that grip is. Feel it out. Because I mean, like we said, I mean, it may not be that you're going to be able to run that corner. I'm sure you won't be able to run that corner at a
mm,
wacky angle the same pace you would at the ideal line. But what you're able to do, what you figure out that you are able to pull off with the available grip that you and your car and your tire and the surface can provide, you may realize like, oh crap, in a race start where the guy next to me is slipping and sliding or just got weirded out by somebody else and they're both offline or guess what? I can stick it a tight horseshoe around turn one at VR instead of having to use too much. There is grip there, but I only would have known that probably from doing stuff like offline drills and to kind of finding like where can I still haul ass pretty good without being on me exactly the ideal line. There are places that are kind of no brainers. If we're going to talk about VIR, which I always will, like talking about coming out of that left hander, that turn 3. You can be all the way out into the green stuff, this like curb plus bonus green zone. You could be on the curb. You could be next to the curb. You could be one lane over. But if the car in front of you is a little bit off pace, you're going to get them any of those places. So it's
yep.
one of these things where you might be just talking about a slight variance of angle, or you might be talking about being a whole car width over a center of return. But you want to know it's good stuff to go out in a DE and get comfortable with because when it hits race time, your brain clicks and you go, yeah, I can do this. I've done this before. Like, I remember I was passing that Mustang here or whatever, like it's,
Yep.
you build up context and muscle memory the more and more we do this. So I say you can for sure make hay in an almost unnatural way on a race start. And you can build your chances up a lot, but also it's a big risk. You got to kind of have your together to even think about this. But I think there's some of our listeners who it's worth thinking about.
Well, the other thing that, and we're gonna bring some HPDE stuff and some other things involved. It's not a drill that we've done, but typically you're going to be doing these at restarts where you're going to be starting at a much lower speed than you would normally be traveling at that particular point in the
Right.
track. So let's say you're at an HPDE and you're doing your out laps and you're just getting warmed up and it's double yellow. It's first laps of the day or whatever. They usually double yellow the 1st 2 laps. Think about where the common places for that particular track are where you could execute these types of passes. And since you'll be at a slower rate, give the person in front of you a little bit more room, figure out what your speed should be, and then just hammer it offline and find out what type of acceleration you can deal with at that particular point in the track and not waste the reconnaissance lap and learn a little bit. Or if you're in an HPDE where you're stuck behind somebody and you don't get a point by, just as likely you can do it again the same, because
You got time, right?
you got nothing else to do. You might as well learn something from it instead of just complaining that the person in front of you is not giving you 0.5 and blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
That's not helping. So make the best of a bad situation. If you can only do 50 in a turn where you're usually doing 90, but suppose you're just coming out of a double yellow and it drops when you happen to be right there. Well, how fast can you
Yeah.
accelerate and how much turn can you do when you're not online?
Yeah. Or when you're not on pace, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. So I definitely did not get as good as I am at racing from racing.
oh no,
I learned almost everything I know how to do from a DE.
yeah,
And
it's tough to get good at racing by racing, which doesn't sound
yeah.
right. I mean, you can get better, but you can't fix your issues racing.
Yeah, I feel like if you try to learn to be good in competition, only from competition, you're like that small kid who can't quite stand up in the pool. So
Hmm.
all you can do is kind of let yourself sink, kick off the bottom,
Yep.
grab a little bit of air, then sink a little bit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't feel like you're swimming or accepting the challenge. You're just kind of in the pool.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
just as
fine,
helpful
fine for some folks.
is sometimes especially if you're towards the top of the food chain, drop down a little bit so you'll feel a little bit better about yourself, realizing that, hey, I'm bashing myself against killers and I'm not as bad as I think, or vice versa. If you're big fish, small pond, hey, step it up, see what you can see,
Yeah,
realize, oh, I have not hit the threshold of the
right.
plateau. There is still un- a large field of things that I'm not doing, and that will get you motivated again to go get better.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like if you're truly a student of the sport and you live it, that's one of those moments where you realize, oh, I got to go get that. I want to go develop that. And that I realize I'm deficient here and there, and it's not the end of the world. That's an exciting challenge.
Look, there's more.
Exactly. Look, there's more. So there's a lot more to race starts, and I think some people think about. And I want our people to capitalize on every moment they're spending on track safely.
Well, you know what I say to that, Ben? That's how
What's
you
that?
become a garage hero in training.
And that's right. That's one of the ways.
That's one of the
Another one of
ways.
the ways
It's one of
is
the ways.
to send copious amounts of money to the OnlyFans.
Yep, 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 yep,
Hobbitfeet.dadbod.com.
yep. Ben's Hobbyfeet at gmail.com. Very
I'm so
well.
scared. I'm so scared that's a real email address.
It is a real email address.
Great,
I,
great.
I sign
Well,
up for all my junk emails now with that.
I think that's why I've been getting some weird letters, but we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do something with it. That's okay. And last little bit, if you do have radios in your car and you have people outside doing spotting for you, if they can tell you when that flag drops, always helpful.
Oh God, yeah, we didn't even get touch on that. But if you can have somebody calling greens for you,
Green,
that's
green,
a big
green.
help.
Green, green,
Especially
green.
if you're far enough back in the field where you physically are not going to see the green, and you'd either be relying on the people watching and listening for everybody just to go, or having somebody who sees it and yells it to you. You're going to have a better shot at
Yep.
making hay on the restart if somebody's telling you instead of just kind of waiting like, oh, I see him going.
Yep. Or even, you know how like at a lemons race, there's 100+ cars all circulating around and the
Yep,
green is dropped randomly. Even
yep,
if you can tell that the lead guy or girl that's at the start finish line, it's about to drop it, they just start to get a little, there's some
yeah,
movement.
that's
It's
right.
like, hey, they're starting to get a little fidgety. They're starting to get
Yeah,
a
so
little.
that's a great point. I'm glad we haven't backed off of this yet. As you're rolling around on a pace lap, because I've done this a lot, because I'm always the one begging to start the race. So I've got more than my share of race starts, but I will roll around and I'll figure out what their body language is in the flag stand. Nothing's going on
Mhm.
and nothing's happening. And as soon as you see that change, that's when you know it's going to be go time, probably in the next minute or so.
Mhm.
And if we're talking about trying to nail starts and restarts and lemons, even if you can't see the main flag stand, your job is to be watching each flag station, because they're just going to casually pull their yellow. They've got it down to a science. They don't do any kind of flourish with lemons. They'll just slip that yellow. It'll be there, then not there. As soon as you see it disappear,
Boom.
boom, you're going. You don't have to wait for any other context. You don't have to hear it from anybody else. In lemons, you see that yellow flag disappear at the flag station near you, you hit it.
Yep. Well, I think we've given away some of the tips, but if you have any more tips,
Yeah,
GarageHeroesInTraining at
please.
gmail.com.
because the listener who asked this question is dumber than a sack of hammers. So I'm sure there are more aspects to this that we could also hash out and talk about. But I really thank you, Bill. Thank you for letting me talk about one of my great passions in motorsports, which is the start of the event.
I mean, it is a listener question. You do listen.
It took me a while to start listening to my own segments. But yes, I listen to them now.
I know. And your driving has gotten worse and worse. No, anyway.
Yeah, it really has.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.